dancing on the edge of death with fun. Absolutely. Get out there, get out there, get out there. Faster, harder, more. Wow. Oh my God, I would die if I went all the way around. Remember that Pluto creates a superpower. Gold you can find. Truths that hurt or liberate. Find the diamonds. Sweet friends, I'm Meredith, your evolutionary astrologer, and today we are continuing to talk about Pluto in Aquarius transiting the different houses. Now, Pluto is deep and it is intense, and it is the power planet of the entire zodiac. It tears things down to transform them, create metamorphosis, and absolutely change them for life. So Pluto is where we have cataclysmic change. I really recommend that you do two things. One, watch my entire Pluto playlist. Two, please watch all my videos on Pluto in Aquarius, including my first video where I talked about Pluto transiting the first, second, third houses. And the reason why I say this is because you can just go and watch your own house. Oh, I've got Pluto in Aquarius transiting the fifth, and watch that. However, you won't truly understand what that means when you don't also understand what it does not mean. And you will understand what it does not mean when you watch Pluto transiting all the different houses. Pluto in the 12th is very different than Pluto in the 5th. And it's easier for you to understand your transit wherever it is when you understand what Pluto also is in the other houses. And I mean, it's kind of critical. And I want you guys to understand, I want you guys to have all the knowledge, all the astrological knowledge that I have. It's my goal to pass it all on before I, move on to that other sacred place. I don't want to die with the music left inside of me. So I'm giving it away for free here. And if you want to say thank you with a thumbs up, with a like, with a comment, with subscribing, or even better yet, join and become a member for just $2.99, because it supports my work. It supports the research. It supports the time that it takes and the studio. I give you guys a bunch of perks, and we are having a class coming up. My members get it at a discount and free for my superstar super supporters. My Pisces master class. It's going to be amazing. It's in January. Just go to Shop Soul Navigation to grab your place in the Zoom room. And I want to talk to you now, continuing my series at Aquarius in the 4th house. And this is pretty massive. You guys, you really need to know that when a transit is crossing the 1st house into the 4th house, into the 7th, or into the 10th, those are the angles. And I have a whole video on the angles, and you absolutely have got to watch that video, because when a planet is sitting on an angle by transit or natally, it creates just a stick of dynamite. It is the power cross in your chart, and it's the cardinal cross in your chart, the power placement in your chart, and it is just amplified if this is crossing along that IC, the early degrees between the 3rd and the 4th house, or if Pluto is crossing that IC, that's the cusp between the 3rd and the 4th house. This is happening inside your 4th house. It's very potent. It is very powerful. It is the deepest house in the entire zodiacal wheel. And this is a deep internalized metamorphosis, transformation, and change. This is going to pretty much guarantee that your home life, your family life, your relationship with your mother, your relationship with your family is going to become very intense and change. There could be some suffering. There can be some loss. You could move out. You could move back in. But it is going to alter, and it is going to change. And your feelings of family or home or security are going to alter. Maybe you didn't have enough security for the last 14 years or 20 years, and now you long for growing more security or safety, or vice versa. Maybe you felt very secure and now you don't, but somehow the relationship to feeling secure. Remember, the 4th house is the womb. The womb is the safe place. And so there's a desire for deep, real internal security here, and going out and getting it and developing and figuring out how to be profoundly secure is kind of the name of the game here. But probably because you have felt insecure, or you have felt not secure, or you have felt that your family wasn't safe, or you could have lost your home. You could have lost your family. You could have lost that thing that made you feel safe, or it could have been jeopardized. You might also want your freedom to go discover your own internal, deeper drives and needs right now. And you might not be able to do that inside the house or the home that you are currently living in. Even if you're 36 years old or much older and you're not a kid anymore, you might feel like the home in which you have built with a partner or the family that you have grown or built, you might feel like this jeopardizes my security in some way, or what I need to feel safe, or what my internal desires, my deep secret internal desires truly are. Now, I want to tell you that you could also, with the Aquarius piece of this, you might change out the friends in which you invite into your home, or the hobbies in which you create, the inventions that you create inside your home. I think that's very, very interesting. Like, your home can now redesign itself in a place that is more creative, more unique, different, not stereotypical, iconoclastic in a way. And you may even, I don't know, I find that when you have Aquarius in the fourth, you need space. You need freedom to be uniquely you. You need your outlet, your place or space where you can have a little bit of an outlet. It's like where you can be detached in a way from others, so you can do your deep inner explorations in a quirky, zany, unique, far out, limitless way or place, or live in a different kind of creative commune, or more of a space that is limitless, a space or a place inside your secure home, right? Inside your home that's more innovative, that allows you to have your zany projects, your unique safe haven, your different ways expressed, your secret marijuana garden in the back that nobody knows about, your place to create, inventive painting or glass cutting or whatever it is you're doing that is unique and different, maybe secretive, because the fourth house is very secretive, but it's almost like you need more space now to be eclectically, uniquely you. People with Aquarius in the fourth need to have a little bit of a innovative, rebellious, safe haven inside their home, away from everybody, but not so far away that they can't connect. They want to create connection, but it's like they need their turf. They need their turf to do their experiments. This is a time to do deep, and it's probably going to happen anyway, deep psychological character studies on your family, on your mother, on your relationship with your parents, or the way in which, really coming to terms with the way that you were raised and things that you had and the things that you didn't have, and hopefully turn those into blessings. And remember that Pluto creates a superpower. So in the ways in which you were neglected, in the things that you did not get, you got something magnificent out of the things you did not get. If you have Aquarius in the fourth house, there was something missing. But now that Pluto's transiting there, dig down deep into that dark well, take those things out of the well and look at them and try, my friends, to find the diamonds, try to find the gold, try to find the sweet things that you can glean from that which you did not get. And it's really important. And I know that there are deep, probably treasures inside the family wounds. You have to make them into treasures. And I don't want anybody to ever think that I condone being wounded or hurt by your family. But there are some family wounds here. And with Pluto here, you have an opportunity to understand them. You have an opportunity to understand the deeper foundation of your life and to do deep, deep psychological exploring. This is a time when you may lean into energy healing, heart healing, learning the tarot, learning astrology, journaling, dream journaling, learning, Jungian psychology. Now, I'm going to tell you something that maybe many of you are not going to love hearing. When Pluto transits your fourth house in Aquarius, this is probably the placement that creates the most maturity and wisdom, a self-wisdom. This is when you confront your immature self. And this is when you really have to grow yourself up. I don't care if this is happening when you're 65 years old or when you're 10 years old. There's a great deal of heaviness that is placed upon you, and you're going to have losses inside your family and inside your home life, inside the way that you see home. Maybe you leave home, but you're going to have deep, deep visceral losses that are going to hurt so bad that you have to become self-reliant. You have to switch the focus onto, I'm a survivor and I'm going to survive this. I'll tell you, the fourth house is also, I taught this workshop on death, and it's not out yet because I just taught it in Barcelona and my editor's editing it. But the fourth house is also the house of endings. When the planet of endings, death, destruction, happen here, we oftentimes lose something priceless and precious to us. There is also a deepening around the understanding, the truly great understanding of what it means to cherish something, to nurture something, to love something so deeply that you would die for it. That is maturity. That is wisdom. And psychological wisdom is happening with this transit. It might not happen for a while. First, you go through, a bunch of BS. Then you go through a bunch of garbage. And then you go through a bunch of, crappy experiences. And then you go through a bunch of stupid losses. And then you go through heartbreak. And then, right? And you're just like, what the heck? And then you wake up one day inside this transit and you're a completely changed person, where now you cherish life and you see the sweetness in places that you never even saw before. You never even thought of before. Your heart was never even open to such things. And now, your whole life will change with this aspect, because you're going to feel differently about life. You're going to feel differently like a wise woman or a wise person feels, or you're going to have a sobering and very mature outlook on life. Through loss comes love. Oftentimes, we learn what we love through the things that we lose. And I think that this placement is very, very challenging, but it grows us more so, I think, internally than any other placement in the entire zodiac. And not everybody will have transiting Pluto in the fourth house. Only some people will. Only if you were born with Pluto in the second, third, or fourth, first. I mean, right? It's not everybody. And it depends how long you live. I want to just say one last thing about this transit with Pluto in Aquarius going through the fourth. Remember, this is an upgrade, because Aquarius always wants to improve things and make things, advance. And so whatever revelations or insights right now, if this was happening to me, I would really do deep, deep journaling, and I would do deep digging for truth around my family patterns, my ancestral inheritance. I guess I would want to get kind of to the bottom of the truths of what influenced me, what grew me up, was magical in my life, and try to get back in touch with the magical parts of my childhood in a new way. And I want to say that you could bring upon, eventually through this transit, you could bring upon yourself absolutely revelatory new relationships with your parents. So you might reconnect with somebody who gave up on you, or who you gave up on inside your family. You might go back and visit your childhood home and see it completely different. When I was really little, when I was like 7 years old, oh my gosh, I thought we were rich. I really felt like I had everything anybody would ever want. I thought, oh my God, I'm a rich family. I really didn't know the difference between being poor or being wealthy. I really didn't know. But I didn't sit around feeling like I was living inside a family that struggled. And the truth is I kind of was. And when I went back many years later to go visit that childhood home, it was miniature. It was this big. It had a little carport, and we had one car, and my bedroom was this big. And there was really not much of a backyard. It was like just a little patio. I was like, wow. I remember being 7 and just living gleefully. And I know not everybody gets to live like that. But my 35-year-old self clearly saw the neighborhood we lived in and the house. And while my parents were very loving, we didn't have a lot. And I didn't know that. It was kind of cool for me to see that I thought we did and we didn't. Now, a lot of people don't get that experience. And believe me, I know, I cherish that. And then as an adult, I really, really struggled, especially when I first started doing astrology and I lived in a closet. Anyways, and you all know that story if you watch my videos and if you're a member and you've seen my behind the scenes videos. It's funny how your perception can really change around your family, and you might discover truths that hurt or liberate you at this time. And so this can be very deeply profound. I love that like Anderson Cooper went on that show, like Find Out Who You Really Are. He found out about the lineage of his family and he was just shell shocked. And he was like, what? So it can go either way, right? But it transforms your concept of self. And so what that did for me is it grew great empathy and compassion inside of me as an adult for how my parents, even though they really were struggling, never really burdened me with that. They tried to make life be about the intangibles. We were never a very materialistic family. So it wasn't like, hey, you got a new car. No, I never did. I never got, keys to the BMW at 16. No, I never got that. Like, God bless you if that's you, lucky you. But that was not me. And I didn't even know that that was a thing. I didn't know that that was a thing that happened to people. I literally didn't. I'm just saying whatever construct your family is made of, there's going to be new revelations. It's definitely not going to be my story, right? Everybody's story is unique, but it's going to be new revelations that will probably mature you and give you a great deal of wisdom. I want to tell you something really fascinating here. In May, the third weekend of May, and you can go to soulnavigation.com and go click on astrology workshops and retreats. I'm going to teach the coolest class. I'm really excited to do this. I'm like bubbling up with enthusiasm around, I get to teach this. I'm so excited. But I'm going to teach your family tree astrology DNA. So I'm going to look at your family tree and we're going to look at all of the patterns that have shaped you and trickled down from your ancestors down, and then what you are passing on to the lives that you have influenced and creative inside your partnerships and your children. And it is going to be profound. So it's sort of your astrological DNA inside your family tree. And we are going to spend a whole day learning about that. And it is amazing because when you see your child and how they have the same astrology as your grandparent, it is absolutely amazing. I actually think my nephew might have incarnated with my father's soul. Their charts are uncanny. I also want to say, this is so crazy, but I have 4 grandmothers and all 4 of them are born in the first week of April. All of them are Aries, every single one of them. And I mean, what? All 4 of them. I shouldn't say the first week, but I should say the first 11 days. So huge, right? So I would go look at where that falls in my chart. Why do I have all 4 grandmothers falling in that quadrant of Aries? Really interesting. So we're going to study that. And this 4th house holds your astrological DNA in it. It's your roots. It's your heritage. It's really super exciting. So Pluto is intense, and you cannot understand how this 20-year transit is going to affect you in 5 minutes. You can read about it and go watch other videos that just kind of give you a periphery glance, but we're doing deeper astrology, so these transits are going to take more time. I absolutely hope that you are loving learning about Pluto in Aquarius transiting in your astrological chart. Pluto in Aquarius transiting in the 5th house. Okay, this one is pretty massive. The first thing I'm going to do now, if you don't have children, just listen to this part because you are a child. And so this could have an effect with you being a child. So this could affect your parents. And this could, when Pluto transited my 5th house, it transited my Venus, and that's when my father passed away. And the 5th house is naturally ruled by the sun, and it is father's house. And so this affected me as a child, although I was 34 years old. If you don't have children, just keep listening, but think of yourself also as the child. Your relationship to your children is going to profoundly change. You might discover something about them. You might experience some sort of loss or setback or separation, or you might find that your child is a creative prodigy. And I don't know, you might be Simone Biles' mom, metaphorically. You're the mom of Simone Biles and you just figured out, wow, she's really super good at gymnastics. Do I spend my life life savings and send her away to gymnastics camp, and I find $20,000 to do that when I don't even have a dime, and I'm cultivating this kid that will then, change my life. I mean, what if your child is Prince? What if your child is, I don't know, Freddie Mercury, right? So I'm just saying that there is a discovery about your child, or your relationship with your child is going to create a dramatic shift, metamorphosis, transformation in your life right now over the next 20 years. Right now, it is 12/11/2024. And so we're talking about those early degrees, those very early degrees of Pluto in Aquarius, like 0. So if you've got 0, 1, or 2 degrees, that's where I want you to look at your chart and see where you have 0, 1, or 2 degrees. Even if you have 29 degrees Capricorn, this still is affecting you because it's within orb. We take a little smaller orbs because Pluto is so far away. It's the furthest away planet. You know that it's going to live in Aquarius, and it's going to go through your entire 30 degrees of Aquarius for the next 20 years. So if you're watching this between 2024 and 2043, it is relevant. It is still happening to you. So Aquarius might straddle, if you're using Coke, Porphyry, or Placidus, it might straddle 3 different houses or 2 different houses. If you're using whole signs, it will only straddle and only affect 1 house. So let's talk about this. Your children. Raising your children is imperative right now because they're going to see you differently. So how do you use or not use power? Are you too soft and sweet and just a friend and creating, a child that's really out of bounds? Or are you too powerful and too controlling? So finding that perfect balance is the goal for the next 20 years because it matters, and it's going to shape who they are and your relationship for the rest of your life. Their life, the rest of their life, if they pass before you, your life, if you pass before them. Your relationship with your children is probably going to deepen. Why is it going to deepen? Because it has to. So why does it have to? Because something is going to happen that is going to create a need for deepening, a need for understanding your child more authentically, rather than imposing who you are onto them, trying to explore who they are authentically. This kind of reminds me of the child that might be gay or might be different than how the family wants them to be, and the parent having to adapt to that difference, to that different thing, to that radically different thing. I mean, what if your child wants to change their gender, change their name, change their identity, right? Are you going to like that, not like that, go with it, not go with it, try to talk them out of it, not talk them out of it? No judgment here. I'm just saying these issues could come up. What if your child has pursuits or friendships that you don't like, that you don't want them to have? So this is a tension with your children, and your children are growing you. Also remember that this is something kind of unusual or out of the box or different, or maybe something that's not in perfect alignment. Why? Because it's Aquarius and it's creating revelations and revolutions. And so this could be the rebellious child. You could discover that your child is on the spectrum. Your child has special needs. Your child has a learning disorder. Your child has ADHD. Your child has ADD and needs medication, and you don't believe in medication, or, can't get into a school if they're not vaccinated. You don't believe in vaccination. You know what I mean? It's just something that is going to probably bring up a struggle and a fear to get to a better place eventually. You might even doubt yourself as a parent at this time. Now, you can also be the child in the story. So are you the child, or are you the parent? Your child could feel alienated from you or the family or from groups or friendships, and you might need to help them. But there's going to be some sort of deep transformation with your child or your children, and it doesn't have to mean that it's bad, but I will tell you that it will mature you, it will grow you, and you will become a more powerful, probably empathetic, sympathetic, compassionate parent. Probably somebody, or at least this is the goal, maybe more inspirational, inspiring, and empowering. But you're probably going to have to get out of some sort of power struggle. And how do you do that? Remember, we talked about in the first video about what is power. Is power loud like a big old black bear beating my chest? You will not dominate me. Or is it magnetic and allure? Is it soft and quiet where I lure a bunny rabbit into my lap? Or is it big, loud, and strong where I scare a black bear away? Or is it both? And so learning this dance with your children is very, very critical. It's going to happen. And you might even feel like you have to lose your child to gain your child. I have one client whose child is a very severe, serious drug addict. And I told her, you have to lose your child right now to have your child find themselves to be able to come back to you. But you can't fix this problem for your child. You can't get sober for your kid. Before your kids are wise enough, start picking their friends for them and pray that their friends stay good. But you can really deepen your kids' trust in you and their vulnerability in you. Like they trust they can be vulnerable with you. If your child is not vulnerable with you and they're a teenager or a young adult, they fear that you won't approve of them. They're hiding a piece of themselves. And so how do you bridge that gap with them? If you're not the child in this scenario and it's your children, you're probably going to find out that your children are different than how you perceive them in some way, shape, or form. It could be something as simple as, wow, they're a great musician, I never knew. Or, wow, I never knew they were great at sports. I didn't want them to pursue sports, but wow, he's like a football athlete and I didn't want him to play football. Or, wow, they're super at fencing. I never thought of fencing before. Or, wow, like Bobby Flay. I love Bobby Flay. I'm starting to really appreciate him. He's my new favorite TV show. And I didn't used to love Bobby. He's a Sagittarius. And, he didn't finish high school. And he started to work in the kitchen at a restaurant. And as soon as he started working with his hands, he had a learning disorder. And I think he had ADHD or ADD. When he started learning with his hands, he started to become really smart and really fast and really good at his craft, but he had to work with his hands. Couldn't sit in a classroom and learn. And so he dropped out of high school. And look at him today, extraordinary. So it could be something like that. So it doesn't mean that it's all bad, but I want you to look for the differences. Because remember, it's Aquarius. It's a little bit rebellious. It's a little bit out of the box. It's not mainstream. I will also say that this could be a loss of your father or your grandfather or a male authority father figure in your life over the next 20 years that really transforms the concept of love. This is the house of love and childlike energy. And this is also the house of self-expression, the authentic self, and the authentic creative self. So this is where innovation, Aquarius, meets creativity, and you're supposed to now transform and live out of the box creatively. So are you Picasso and we didn't get to know it yet, and you haven't discovered it yet? So where are you, Picasso? If you have Pluto in the fifth, it's like, how can you just go a little bit more creative, a little bit more inventive to find the true, authentic you inside your life? So let me talk to you all about one of the biggest blessings and hardships about Pluto transiting through the fifth house in Aquarius. Superficiality is no longer going to do it for you. Superficial love affairs, nope, not interested. You are going to want to live life to the fullest and take bigger risks. You're going to want intense gratification. You're going to want intense love affairs. You're going to even want more intense, meaningful sexual experiences. You are not going to want to have superficial experiences because Pluto wants the deep, deep psychological shift. There's a wound here. There's a wound that if it doesn't already live here, it's coming. You will be wounded in some way. And then it's in understanding that wound. It's in healing that wound. It's understanding the psychological aspect of that wound that you really transform your life and your relationships. So this is the house of like romance and dating and recreation and fun and glee and we and playfulness and childlike fun and creativity and children. And it is also the house of father. One of the houses of father, the 10th house is the other. There could be a little bit of a desire here for more intense lovers, dating in a way that's more deep and meaningful, like wanting to get to the root, the part where it's like, let's just, speed dating is not for you. Let me put it that way. It's like, it's got to be into the bone marrow for me to want to even try my hand at this. I will tell you that you might, wanting these larger than life, creative, meaningful, deep, penetrating experiences, start taking, this is a risk-taking house in a way because we want to live life to the fullest when we have a lot of fifth house elements. You might be a little bit of a daredevil and you could even take your own life unknowingly or knowingly into risky situations and kind of not care because you want the intensity of the feeling. So you could be really, really dramatic here. And so I say stop, pause, and reflect. That's really hard to do when Pluto is in the fifth. There's a feeling like if I don't do this activity, if I don't do this creative, innovative plan, if I don't hike, I don't know, Mount Kilimanjaro, my spirit will die. And you want feelings like that. And so in order to get feelings like that, the activities that you choose might be a little bit risky, might be a little bit fiery. You might be a little bit in over your head. And so I want you to be careful, but they probably will transform you. If you hiked, has anybody here hiked Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro? Will you please tell me? And did it change your life? I'm sure it did. You might want to jump out of an airplane. You might want to, so it's kind of a daredevil aspect too, where you want to really transform your life and you look outside of yourself in a way to give you that exhilaration. It's a little bit like the first house, like courage and risk. But I do want you to be measured and think of yourself. I will tell you that your relationship with your father can really, really, really transform here. And you might also experience a new paradigm shift around what fun really is, where it's like, I love having deep, down to the bottom of your soul conversations. That's what an idea of fun is for me. I can also, yes, I can go to Cirque du Soleil in Vegas and have a blast too. But I want to tell you, I love deep conversation and it's super fun. And so your concept of fun can have a big paradigm shift right now. The concept of your authentic self wants to transform, wants to metamorphose. This really is the caterpillar leaving the leaf and going out to explore the whole wide world. And the self-discovery outside of self is brought back to the inner self, and the inner self is forever changed by the experiences, the fun and games and the childlike joy it found outside of itself. I don't know, I hadn't swung on a swing set in years, and last summer I just was goofing around with my little nephew and I'm like, let's go swinging. And I was like, wow, this is like really high. It was barely, he's like, Aunt Mare, this is barely high. This is barely high. Your feet are barely off the ground. And he's like, I one time swung all the way around. I'm like, oh my God, I would die if I went all the way around the swing set, right? Like, oh my God, that's Pluto, Pluto in Aquarius in the fifth house. It's like taking the risk to go all the way around. It's scary as hell. You thought you were going to like lose your life doing it and you lived through it. And it's like, oh, that was really fun. So it's like dancing on the edge of death with fun, right? Playing with fun on the edge and finding that edge, and those experiences fill you up that you become kind of a fun junkie. The transformation here is to find the authentic inner child that lives inside of you, that wants to live life maximum capacity, maximum fun, maximum joy, and to find that creative expression that puts joy, love, and glee into the world. Somehow, some way, something has tried to steal that from you. And you're like, I'll be damned. I am going to find my fun, and I am going to find my expression of joy. And you feel like if I don't do this thing, if you already feel this, if I don't paint this or sing this song. I love Prince, but I think if you would have told him, I'm going to take all your guitars away and you can't play, I think he would have withered. I think he would have died. So what's that thing inside of you? What's that thing that you have to do or you might die? Now, here's what's interesting. Some things might be taken away from you in order for you to find that thing. When I had Pluto transiting the fifth house, I told you that my father passed away, and it was devastating. I talk about it a lot on this channel. It devastated me so deeply. I mean, it cut me to the quick. I still don't even know if I'm completely healed from it. But what it did do is it pushed me into making meaning out of the things he left me. And he left me intangible gifts. And so I took those intangible things and I made greater meaning out of them. I might not have done that if he was still around, because I would still assume that I would get them, right? Finding your authentic self out of losing something precious to you, out of you losing some of your childhood, childlike glee. Not that I'm no longer a child of his, but I'm no longer a child of his on earth. He's in heaven. So I don't really get to be that little girl, right? I don't get to climb on his lap. I don't get to have that little kid expression in me in an earth bound way. And so I have to go recreate it in a new way for my child. So I'll leave you with that. And we'll move on to Pluto in Aquarius transiting the sixth house. This is a complete overhaul and regeneration around your health and your daily life, your duties, your activities, and your daily work can significantly change right now. I want to talk to you about this, and I don't want to frighten you because I'm going to tell you something. You could find right now the remedy. You could find the cure. You could find the gold mine, the golden elixir of pure and total health for yourself right now. So keep exploring, but I want you to take your health very, very seriously right now. This is a time in your life where you can feel like you're really overtaxed, overdoing it, pure and total exhaustion. You might be pushing yourself so hard that you don't even have a realistic concept of what peacefulness is. You don't even have a realistic concept that until you walk into someone else's house that is living a far more tranquil or peaceful life than you. Wow, life can look like this. This kind of happened to me with this transit. And that is that when I walk into like my mother's home or when I went to Spain, like I mentioned in my earlier, when I was talking about Pluto in the third house, I didn't realize how chaotic and busy and just absolutely crazed my schedule was until I saw other people's lives whose life was perfectly peaceful. I will tell you, I was very envious, but I was shell-shocked. And then when I met people that were successful and peaceful, I was like, how do I get that? So there can be a crazed feeling with Pluto transiting the sixth house, and then with Pluto and Aquarius transiting the sixth house, it can even be more maniacal. And when I say maniacal, I just mean just 1,000 arrows being shot at you from every direction, every nanosecond of the day, and trying to capture them all. And it's exhaustion, just sheer exhaustion trying to keep up with it. Because remember, Aquarius is the advanced mind, advanced thinking, and now we have that on a daily basis, that you can get so incredibly busy with your life, trying to control all aspects of your life, feeling like if you don't hold it together, it's all going to crumble. It's all going to fall apart. If you don't do it, nobody else will. So you're keeping the whole house of cards up, right? The whole entire Jenga puzzle is on your one puzzle piece. And if you're not there, it all goes to hell in a handbasket. It's not true. You're going to get a shift around this, and you're being asked to transform this belief in trying to control every single aspect of your life, because there is no such thing. And you're going to be asked in a way, probably by working yourself to death. You're going to be forced to slow down. And that could come to you through a health issue. That could come to you from needing to put your feet up, lie down. You can't walk, you can't move, you can't talk. You're bedridden, you sprained your knee, I don't know. But your daily routines can become so crazed and so busy that you create health issues that force you to slow down because of that loss of wellness. And so I want to tell you that you're going to have huge psychological understandings, new understandings around your pets, around your daily routines, around your days, each day that you wake up and the way you move through a day, your employees, your colleagues, your work, the people that you work with, your health, your wellness. And I want to tell you that you might even be more focused around working with new technologies, having a deeper desire to create social reform. You may not have even been interested in social reform before. And now all of a sudden you want to create social reform or environmental reform, taking care of the environment or animal welfare or people. You may also discover, a new relationship to animals or taking care of animals. You may want to study or deepen your understanding around fair working conditions. I just read a whole article on Whole Foods and how the working conditions are cruel and inhumane at Whole Foods. I just read this whole article on it, and how you can't even have a bathroom break, and how there is surveillance on how fast do you check people out, how fast do you load a cart if you're a personal shopper, how fast do you stock a shelf, how fast do you carry 50 pounds of apples, how long does it take you to stock the limes. And what it has done is it has eroded the connections at work, and it has created robotic, maniacal, crazy, maniac work ethic from the bosses. And the workers are being paid an unfair wage, and they don't dare get into a conversation at the cash register because you might slow the algorithm down. You might slow down their productivity, and they see they're not scanning the produce fast enough. That was just a really good example of Pluto transiting this house, especially in Aquarius, because now you could just turn into a robot in your daily life. And the saddest part of this, the shadow piece of this transit, is you're robotic. And the very thing you want in life are loving relationships with time. So you work harder to make more money so you can buy yourself time with people that you love, only to discover that the people that you love have given up on you because you've been too busy. Do you get it? It's like, oh my gosh. So the most precious commodity in life for your health and your work and your relationships, and like I said, for the quality of your life, is slowing down time. And it's really hard to do because you have Pluto here going, you will die. It will die. Everything that you built, your empire, your work, everything you have built, everything that you invest into on a daily basis will crumble, will decimate, will be destroyed if we don't have you in it, working like a robot, innovating it, reconfiguring it, reinventing it, redoing it, regenerating it on a daily basis, doing more like a robot. It will all crumble. Do you see how it's just this twisted, ironic thing that's driving you? And what's painful about this is every single day. This is being a farmer, waking up at 5 every single day. Get out there, milk the cows, tend to your crops, get out there, faster, harder, more. This is like an Olympic trainer. You're just trying to manage your household, do your job, take care of your body. And it's like not a lot of complex things, but it just grinds you down like, I don't know, a wheat mill into flour dust. This one is exhaustion. This transit creates total exhaustion. Let's talk about it a little bit more deeply. You actually might need to automate some of your life. You may need to delegate some of your duties, and you may need to become more resourceful with your daily activities so you don't suffer from serious burnout. So I want to tell you that your work can have a dramatic shift in it. And you can also have power struggles inside your work. Like you could have a boss that disempowers you or tries to control you, or not enough freedoms, like I was talking about with Whole Foods after Amazon bought it. I want to tell you that there's going to be a tear down, a destruction, an exhaustion, a takeaway that becomes so critical and so imperative and so important that it has you pursuing your deeper needs around work and then therefore health. So doing something that is a little bit more Aquarian or Plutonian or Aquarian Plutonian. So maybe you work with regenerative therapies or alternative healing or technology around alternative healing. Maybe you work with, I don't know, new lasers or new advanced techniques for new healing techniques or medicine or wellness as well, or something that allows you to be more thoughtful in your energy and in the expense of your energy. Ivy wants to visit us. I want to also tell you that you could be in a transit that has you detached from your body and using your mind or your communication or advanced thinking so much that it's hard for you to feel your heart inside your job. Trying to figure out what fulfills your heart is really important right now. Pluto is going to ask you to transform your work. It's going to ask you to reevaluate your health and what is good for you. And you are going to have to put your health first. I also want to give you the good news, and that is that your work can become really, really fulfilling on the other side of this. Not only that, but your health can become completely transformed in a positive way. You could lose weight by eating more healthy, by exercising more. I would say doing some Plutonian exercise is really, really good for you, like yoga or Tai Chi, going within, something that requires you to dig deep inside of yourself, find new discoveries, new strengths, new talents with your body. You know, power walking, long walking, where you can do great thinking, going on the jog long enough to where you get into that space of like runner's euphoria. God, I don't know if you've ever had that, but I've ran a marathon in my life before, and I ran 2 half marathons. And it's like at that 9th mile, I don't do that anymore, but there is this nirvana, there's this euphoria. You don't even want to listen to anything because you're just in this state of breath work that is so intense and so deep. You're going to find that your life has so much packed into it when Pluto is in the 6th house by transit or just natally. But when it's in Aquarius, because it is so busy, it plays to the margins. It wants to innovate and be unique, and it's trying 1,000 new things and always on the go. A lack of sleep will cause you eventually to make dynamic, profound, powerful changes that will ultimately transform your life. Really listen to your body and don't feel like, wow, I never used to go to bed at 9 o'clock and now I want to go to bed at 9 o'clock and I enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Don't question yourself. Don't feel like, oh, I'm getting old. Just do it. Just enjoy. Create health. It's all we really have anyway. The remedy to this is to take care of yourself, to take care of your body, to nurture your body, to also focus deeply on nurturing your animals and figuring out what they really need. They probably need you to slow down, pay more attention to them, give them a massage. Pet's massage is really real. I noticed that with Bo, like I can completely calm him down if I just rub him on his forehead like this back and forth. And if I move more slowly, he's actually a better pup for me. And so your animals will need this nurturing too. Also, there could be losses around animals that you love or the things that you nurture in a way, things that you take care of. I know it might sound funny, but like plants that you might be really attached to, your favorite tree in your front yard, and now your house is not recognizable because that tree no longer lives there. I know that might sound funny to some and others might really understand like the sadness in that. With Aquarius here, there is such a profound desire for self-mastery, for finding my perfect version of myself, my advanced self, to advance myself. We get on sort of a fast train of discovery and we overload. Instead of doing things slowly and thoroughly, we just do the next and 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 the next. And so we can get addicted to the learning game, right? Because we're motivated by learning creates knowledge, which creates power, which leads to self-mastery, mastering myself, ascension. We can get addicted to ascending. And so we just gobble up studying everything we know until we realize, wow, I've skimmed the surface of everything, but I've mastered nothing. And so the 6th house wants that mastery. And so it tries to do every single thing it does very, very well. And in the process, you kill yourself. You end up just killing yourself, trying to do it all and be all things to all people. One of the things I'll say is that life leaves you feeling sometimes with this aspect like you're a slave to it. And you get enslaved into taking care of others, being useful, reinventing your life, your job, yourself, your body. It leaves you longing for the things that actually really matter, deeper, more profound connections. And so I'll say with this house more than any other house, your priorities end up being ironically inside out and upside down until you lose the very things you want. So you've been working like a maniac, studying like a maniac, doing all these things until you're just so burnt out, you can't even have the connections. The connections have gone away. Don't waste time mastering everything. Be okay with your imperfections. Take care of your health. Sleep is absolutely imperative. Sleep, time out, unplug, rest, and relax. And it is very hard for Aquarius to do any of that, especially the unplug part. Okay, let's talk about Pluto and Aquarius transforming your relationships. Now, what's interesting about this is this doesn't mean that you're going to have breakups. This means that your relationships, your business partnerships, people who work with you or for you, even relationships with your doctors, your therapists, your marriage partners, any relationship that you are deeply invested in, okay, can have such a profound and helpful and maybe even destructive transformation in your life. There will be an entire shift around what you value inside a partnership, what you need inside of a partnership today is very different than what you needed before. And what you're looking for now is something more advanced. Something probably more equal, less of a power structure and more of an egalitarian expression. What's good for you is good for me. And so let me just tell you a couple things. People who have been inside partnership for a really long time, let's say for the whole entire Capricorn and Pluto transit, which was the last 14 years, you might feel the need to expand, innovate, grow, and become more, and if your partner is still stuck in patriarchal or matriarchal thinking and can't grow and innovate with you, this relationship of yours might really struggle. And that includes your business partnerships. So I want to tell you that this doesn't mean that there are breakups. However, you're going to feel like what was working is now needing to be changed. And if you have a partner that wants to change with you and live inside of your new pursuits, your new way of being, your new perceptions, your new paradigm shifts, your new desires, your new wants, and can grow with you, then you probably can deepen the intimacy and the trust inside that relationship. You know how you can even outgrow a therapist? Like, wow, they no longer really give me any ahas. You can outgrow your therapist. This is a maturity, a wisdom that's happening around your relationship needs. You might even feel, so I just want you to know that I've had to let go of doctors where I outgrew and outpaced them in the research and the knowledge around the remedies and the medicines I needed for an illness that I suffer from. I couldn't believe that these doctors were using archaic techniques. Well, what happened is they got into their groove, they did A, B, and C, and they never made time to research because they were too busy with their patients in their practice. Well, I went out and did my research and I brought remedies to them. A lot of them were like, oh no, that's a fad, or oh no, we don't do that here. And then I found doctors that were innovative, that were fresh out of med school, that were younger than 40, that were like, absolutely, that's one of the best things you can do, Meredith. And I'm like, wow, my 55-year-old doctor, doesn't believe in that. And my young doctor would say, it's not that he doesn't believe in that. He hasn't had time to really prescribe that and see good results from it. So it's almost like he's not living in the data of the new thing. Do you see what I'm saying? And so your partners might feel like too old school or too conventional, or like, yeah, that worked when we were 20, but now we're 40. And so you are going to outgrow your relationships. And so if you can find a way, just like Pluto in the third house, and I want you guys to watch all of the Pluto transiting the houses, all of them, because you'll learn what you're not by learning what Pluto transiting through all the other houses than the house it's transiting in your chart. You'll learn so much more. You will just learn so much. We do deep astrology here. And by the way, if you want me to do a video on transiting Pluto in relationship or an aspect to the planets in your chart, just leave me a comment below and let me know if you would like that video, if that video would be helpful to you, and I'll consider doing it. And also, please like, thumbs up, and subscribe and become a member of the channel. It means so much to me. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who's already done that. I really, really appreciate you. I couldn't be here without you. So what I want to say is your relationships with people that you trust is going through a giant transformation right now. And you no longer value friendships or love relationships or deeply personal relationships. Like I said, your relationships in your business, your relationships with your boss or coworkers or business partners or your doctors or your therapists or those who you confide into, you need new things. And if you don't have somebody that can grow with you, if you don't have somebody who's willing to up their game, do things differently, innovate or stay relevant with you, they're not going to be able to sustain your interest. And don't feel bad. So some relationships are going to completely collapse and others are going to deepen and grow. If you can grow together, wow. the emotional and intimate gold you can find, the dance that you can do, the serendipity that you can find, the power, truthfully, that you can find together is so much stronger, deeper, and more meaningful. You are not interested in superficial relationships. And so in business, there's also a little piece of you that's like, your partner has to be of value. They have to carry their weight. They have to carry their Plutonian power, because you're not going to value doing the whole thing all alone, all by yourself, and having them milk you or ride on your coattails, or you being, the one that has all the answers and all the solutions. You're looking for Aquarian partnerships. What's that? That means I cook and you do the dishes, right? Or we both cook and we both do the dishes. It doesn't mean I cook and I do the dishes. It looks like a true partnership. And in Capricorn, you might not have had that. You might have had one person shouldering all of it. And so there's an independent quality here too. There's a need now for a new kind of freedom. I want to pursue my own things separate from you. I want to go do my own, I want to break off and do my own branch of our business. Is that okay with you? It might not be. They might not like you having your Pluto transiting the 7th house, you wanting autonomy and independence inside some of your creative pursuits or innovations or contracts or ideas. They might not like your detachment. You used to be so attached and so involved. You might have been like a micromanager, and now you're hands off and free. And they're like, do you even like me? Do you even like me anymore? You're so busy pursuing your own individual passions. I don't get it. And you're like, of course I love you, but I want to pursue, guitar lessons on my own. And I'm going to guitar lessons Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Do you really care if I do that? So there's a desire for connection, but autonomy and independence inside that connection where you might not have had that before. And partners get threatened by that. They get very, very, very threatened. And not all partners like that, especially if it's a change. And if they don't like it, they start getting jealous. They start controlling you. They start surveilling you. They start find my friends-ing you. Like, where are you right now? Who are you with? And are you really taking guitar lessons? What are you really doing? They start getting paranoid and you're out. And so some relationships do not survive this. It doesn't just mean, oh, Pluto's transiting the 7th. I'm out of here. No, it's Pluto is transiting the 7th. And this is for most people that are Leo risings, but Pluto's transiting the 7th in Aquarius. It means I need to discover who I am and not lose myself inside your agenda for me. I know I showed up this way and I did do it this way, but now I have new needs. I want to do deeper self-discovery. I want to understand our relationship at a deeper level. I want to up our game. I want to be a better couple. I want to live outside of the box. And you might even be too much for your partner, where now you want to be, polyamorous. And they're like, what the hell? Hell no, we're not doing that. And it's like, how bad do you need your new way versus them? And so this is where the power struggle, this is where the stretch is. This is where, what can you compromise without, for the relationship without completely losing your truths? And living in the authentic needs system that you have, but making it good for the whole team, not completely blowing it all up. And again, like I had to leave my doctors who just could not think bigger and be bolder. It was really quite shocking and disheartening and depressing. And I wasn't going to do archaic methods that have been proven to be, really no longer as effective, even harmful. And they just were too stuck in their rut in the old world, in the old game. I get it. I'm sure there's a lot of patients that want that kind of treatment. I don't. You might be losing and redefining relationships, friendships, and you might even find out that some friendships are really unhealthy for you. They're not good for you. They're toxic for you. They tear you down when you're not looking, because the 7th house is the house of hidden enemies. But the light shines the brightest in the 7th house because it represents the full moon aspect. And so sometimes you find out things, secrets, that's Pluto, about your partner or about your friendships or about your business partner that shock you, that are like, oh my God, you've been cheating, you've been lying, and you've been stealing. If you find out that somebody's been cheating you, find a way. to see if the relationship is worth keeping, and you subtly move the puzzle pieces that makes them come clean or not want to cheat or not, siphon off the cash, right? Without you looking, or stealing the pencils from the office drawer or whatever it is they're doing. See if you really can still work with them and salvage the relationship with more integrity. I've had to do that before and I've been successful with it. And you might not even call the person out. You might just put in checks and balances that now they can't get away with things that they used to be able to get away with, and you value them and you want to keep them in your life for whatever reason. Maybe they give more benefits than they do challenges. And so you have to put in checks and balances to keep them in their integrity. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, if that's the case, then I don't want them. Well, some relationships you can't get rid of. Let's say your mother or your father is your business partner and they're kind of cheating you, not giving you what you deserve or taking from you. What can you do to keep the relationship, but make it not possible to cheat? So that's one idea. But I'm telling you, on the other side of this, your relationships if you can find a partner to grow with, to innovate with, to reinvent the business or the relationship, or say, talk honestly about what are your new needs and what are my new needs, and how can we be better for each other, and how can we improve our concept, our business, our relationship, our remedies together. Oh my God, you can walk away with a whole new transformed relationship with this transit. So this is one of the most powerful transits to reinvent your relationship. And sort of like give it a second go. Like if you got divorced, but you're still in love with your partner, under this transit, you could do a new and improved version of it if you're willing to be mature. And I also say, when I talked about Pluto transiting the third house, if you can do it with grace and finesse and kindness, and if you can have a lot of empathy for the other person around the changes that you seek, and how you realize that asking for those changes isn't just, powing them in the face or cramming it down their throat. It's more about luring them into new discoveries, luring them into and inspiring them into new insights, new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of togetherness. I hope that helps, and I hope that you're enjoying this video. So to just recap very quickly before we go into exploring Pluto and Aquarius transiting all the other houses, I want to say that with this transit, this house, you basically have the house that it is transiting in your natal chart. You basically have a buried treasure. You have a buried treasure that you're going to have to work so hard to discover and to find. But it is so worth it, because in this buried treasure is the gold. The gold of what? The gold of probably the healing elixir that remedies the self-sabotage of your psychological wounds. So basically, I see Pluto as the psychological part of the wounding that has gone on, not the literal wound. And when you discover the truth inside Pluto unveils the truth if you're willing to dig long enough, deep enough, and hard enough. And the terrain in which you're digging in is represented by the house. And so there's a buried treasure. And it's almost like you can find the alchemy inside of Pluto and you can turn it into a superpower. So I want you to think about this house that Pluto is transiting in Aquarius as the house that holds your buried treasure. The hard part of the buried treasure is you have to descend down into Hades, the hellish experience of the god-awful, in order to find it. And you have to dismantle, dismember, disintegrate your ego to get what is underneath your ego, and that is the unconscious world, the world that you're not even like cognitively aware of, that drives you. And it's in that world and discovering that world where you find the power that lives in I should say, from all the collective incarnations of your soul. And it's what drives your kind of like unexplained fears. Like, why do you have a fear of drowning? You've never drowned. You don't live by water. You don't even know why you fear it, right? It's in the unconscious. Well, it probably is past life karma. So I absolutely love this astrologer, Howard Sesportis. He is remarkable and he's done a lot of research on the outer planets. And one of the things he talks about is the unconscious world, or I should say the subconscious world, the thing below your ego, is this repository of sort of all of your untapped fears and talents. So sort of the fears that you're kind of unaware of, and also the talents that you're unaware of. But when they're discovered, it's like a geyser. Now, he doesn't say it like that, but it's like a geyser. And it can be highly destructive. Like, oh, I didn't know I had addictive tendencies, and now I'm a full-blown addict, right? Or, oh, I didn't know I could play the flute, and now I'm a musician and I can't put the flute down. It's this repository of undeveloped talents and traits, and also this hidden place of your deepest fears. So like, what is your deepest fear? Is it being alone? Is it being in the dark? Is it being unlovable? Is it being with someone? Is it to be unseen, to be invisible? What is your deepest fear? That, my sweet friend, is Pluto. Howard also talks about when you face Pluto, you face the beast within you and the beast outside of you that shows it to you, right? Part of facing this beast that Howard talks about is reclaiming parts of you that have been lost. So think of your childhood wounds. Think of your younger wounds, the wounds that happened to you when you were young, and what was stolen from you, what was betrayed in your life, what parts of you were betrayed, used, thrown away, discarded, right? And what's your story around those parts of your life? I have big ones. And when you face the beast and you get into the truth of the people, right, who victimized you, and when you get into the truth of how your perceptions were only as good as you are wise, which at 4 years old is not very wise. And you get into the truth of those wounds. You get into the truth of your young perception of those truths. Like, oh, my mom didn't really mean to hurt me. She was just in deep pain and did the best she could. I'm not saying to excuse abuse. I'm just saying get out of your own perception and your own psychological belief around those wounds and just start looking at those wounds from a different perspective or an alternate theory or possibility. You can start standing in the deep healing work of Pluto. I will be honest with you, most people can never do that. Most people can never do that. But I'll tell you something else that I'll be honest about. Most people are not watching my astrology channel. Most people are not doing this kind of work, but you, my friend, are. And if you want help with your Pluto work, you can get a recorded reading or a reading with someone here at Soul Navigation. We've got Stacy back on board. She's a reader with Soul Navigation. We've got Connie Jo and we have myself. You can do recorded readings or you could do a live reading, a virtual reading. You can find us all at soulnavigation.com. That's not the point of what I wanted to say, though. The point of what I wanted to say is you're doing the work. If you want to go deeper, you might need an astrologer to really interpret all the aspects and the Plutonian dance in your own chart and what this transiting Pluto is bringing up for you in aspect to the other planets. I want to also tell you that you cannot do your Plutonian work if you're not willing to face the wound. The wound is what Howard calls the beast. Sometimes facing the beast rewounds you. And so it's not easy. And anybody who says, oh, bring on Pluto, I'm so excited, it's going to be so great. Or any astrologer that's like, oh, Pluto's going to be so easy for you. You don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be all bad. They're not totally telling you the truth. I think it has to get bad before it gets good. And I think you have to be willing to, as Howard says, you have to be willing to face the beast in order to take on the beast, in order to know the remedy for the beast. I think Howard Sesportis does amazing deep work. And I'm going to share more of his work with you. And I'm going to do, the rest of the houses. And we're going to go into the depths. The houses 8 through 12 are extraordinarily deep. So I didn't want to do it all in one video for you. I wanted to be able to give each house their due. I want to ask you this question. Have you ever been so so angry that almost a primal or primitive you surfaced and freaked out, and just totally came out of your body and you just were so angry? That's Pluto. And isn't it embarrassing when somebody else witnesses it? That's Pluto. Because Pluto is your ego too. Pluto is like facing that perceived wound inside of you that was so angry around what happened. And I'm sure we've all had something because we're human. Have the guts to do the work. And I use astrology as my main tool in the excavation of my soul in studying other souls as well. And it is so powerful and it is so profound. And it has given me such a great capacity for healing my life. I won't say that I'm completely unruffled and I'm a perfect person. No, but I definitely am not reactionary like I was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I mean, I'm definitely a very different, far more healthy person. I mean, it takes a lot to rattle me now. And I would not say that at 30 or 20. I would not have said that. You have to be willing to go into the underground, like where the worms live. Ew. I don't want to go into Middle Earth. Where the worms live. I don't want to get that dirty. I need gloves. You can't take gloves into Middle Earth. You cannot take gloves. They won't protect you. No, 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 no. I want to tell a personal story right now, okay? And this is a Plutonian story. I want you to listen to my story, but I want you to apply it to yourself and also think about another story that happened to you similar to this. And also know that this is kind of what to expect in the house that transiting Pluto in Aquarius is happening in your own chart. So Howard talks about this. He talks about how life experiences affect you either in the head, the heart, or the belly. And he talks about Pluto is in the belly. When your belly stirs with discomfort, that's how you know you're dealing with a Plutonian situation. So here's my story for you. Little story time for you. It's not really a pleasant story because it's a Pluto story. But back when I was dating, before I had met my husband, I met this man who I had gone out on 3 dates with, and I liked him. He liked me, so I thought. And we were scheduled to meet at this cute little pizza bar just down the street and around the corner. And it was thunderstorming and raining pretty hard. It is Seattle. I got all dressed up and I got my umbrella and I got my coat. And God, I actually didn't want to go because of the thunderstorm. The rain, it was heavy rain and it just doesn't rain like that. Not that heavy. I sat there and I ordered a drink and, he didn't show. And I thought, okay, in the head, thunderstorm. He's coming from 30 minutes away. It might be an hour in this rain. It's okay. So I text him, are you okay? I'm here. Just wanted you to know I'm at the bar. No answer. So I thought, okay, it's texting. I don't want him to text and drive because the raindrops are pretty big raindrops. I don't know. Another 20 minutes goes by. So now it's 40 minutes late. Still raining. So no answer and no show. And now my heart, and this is exactly how Howard talks about it. Now my heart is worried. And I'm like, oh my God, what if he got in a bad car accident and died or is stranded on the side of the road just coming to this little pizza pub date for me? This is so dumb. I don't want anybody to die trekking all the way out here. So my heart starts to worry and I'm like, I really hope you're okay. Please don't text and drive, but I'll just see you when you get here and I'll wait another 15 minutes. And just, if you can, let me know if you need help or if you're okay. I'll come to wherever you're at, just kind, just thoughtful. Nothing. So I don't wait 20 minutes. I wait a whole nother hour. I happen to know the bartender because this was in my little neighborhood and he's fun and funny and we were kind of joking. But now I had that sinking feeling and I really feel like I'm being stood up and I liked him. This would have been our 4th or 5th date, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I can't remember. But I really liked him and I was now feeling rejected. This doesn't feel good. And now it's an hour and a half, no word. And I know if he was really in trouble or hurt or something, hour and a half, I would hear something. And so now that sinking feeling went into my gut. Now what happens? Pluto is triggered. All those childhood wounds start to percolate, right? All of those wounds that he didn't even cause, but I project them onto him, and I now associate his behavior to them, just subconsciously, unconsciously. And I hear nothing. So I go home and I get ready for bed and I wash my face and I get into my jams and I'm just laying in bed and I'm looking on my cell phone, whatever. 2 hours go by, nothing. 3 hours go by, nothing. I'm so tired now, I fall asleep. I look at my phone in the morning, nothing. I look at my phone the next afternoon, nothing. Okay, did the guy die? Did he die? Was I really stood up? Now I don't really believe he died. I think if he died, I would probably know. Of course, I'm not wishing that, but I'm just like, don't be dramatic, Meredith. You got stood up. But why would he stand me up? I mean, he really liked me, right? Guess what? I texted him again, like, okay, it's been 24 hours now. I have no idea what's going on. If you got tied up or hung up, it's okay. You can just let me know or you could reschedule. No big deal. Are you ready for this? So he comes out with this giant, elaborate lie. I don't know it's a lie at the time. I find out much later. This giant, elaborate story about how his father died. What? And how he had to go north and he had to go to the hospital and his dad died on the surgery table at this hospital. He just flat out died. I was like, pardon me? His dad died. I'm like, oh my God, you don't even have to talk to me. Like, okay. I'm sorry. I wanted to answer on where you were. Go take care of your family. And where can I send flowers? And, I'll come help you do whatever you need. Like clean the house, have for company. What do you need? What can I do? I was really nice, right? Anyways, he's like, no, absolutely nothing. Do not worry about it. I'll get in touch with you in a couple of days and all will be wonderful. Well, little does he know who I am, truthfully. And I found out through my finding outs that he was in California on, some snow bunny ski trip at Heavenly in Lake Tahoe with some cute blonde woman that looked just like me. And his dad did not die. As a matter of fact, his dad was very much alive. And so I sent him a text message. If you wanted to get out of a date, I can tell you with me, there's a lot easier ways to get out of a date than having to tell me that your dad died, right? In the future, he actually thought I would want to date him again. Think that's a deal breaker. Anyways, the story is comical now, but it was really quite Plutonian at the time. Like I literally was sitting there. And all of it, I had so much sadness for him for 5 days that his dad died. I bawled crying for him. I was like, I've lost my dad and I know how hard it is. And let me help you or do something. I mean, I literally, tears were streaming down my face. That's Pluto. And thank God, I found out about how criminal and cruel his dark side is 3, 4, 5 dates in. Thank God. Never dated him again, obviously. What a sicko. Isn't that really nasty bad karma when you use your dad dying as an excuse while you're on some snow bunny ski vacation with another woman? But I'm just telling you, at first it was in the head. Oh, thunderstorm. Then it was in the heart. I feel really bad. Then it was like viscerally in my gut. Like I could just feel that I was being rejected. And that feeling of rejection goes back to original abandonment wounds, right? Thank God I had enough self-esteem at that time in my life to look at the beast and to psychologically get in touch with, that's his problem, not mine. It's not a statement about me. It's a statement about how duplicity has gotten him through his life so far. And it has won him enough times where he's still doing it. And I think he knew with me that a life of duplicity wasn't going to be real effective for him. That's what I want to tell you about Pluto. So when you have felt it in your guts, that's Pluto playing with you. That's you as the little doll, and Pluto is the voodoo being played on you. You have to be strong enough to take the pins out of the cushion. So when people say, oh, bring on Pluto, no, please don't. Please don't. It's really, really painful. I want you to learn so much about Pluto. I just cherish the fact that there are people out there like you that want to learn about life in a deeper context so we can all advance, so we can all be healthier, and so we can lift up the vibration of this country and of this world together, and to elevate ourselves to a healthier place in the world. That's my hope. That's my wish. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for being on this journey with me.